I'm Dan.
I'm Andrew.
And we're here to tell you a Bible story.
That's right. This is the story of a guy named Paul.
Well, actually, it starts with a guy named Saul.
Oh, so there's a different guy?
No, same guy.
So 2 guys, 2 names.
No, 1 guy, 2 names.
Wait, what? I'm super confused. My head hurts.
Here, let me show you what I mean. A long time ago, there lived a man named Saul.
Hey, he looks nice. What's up, Saul? Want to hang out sometime? Catch a movie? Grill some burgers?
I don't think you want to do that. Saul wasn't really a good guy.
What, did he litter, double park all the time?
No. You see, Saul didn't believe in Jesus, and he hated anyone that did. He traveled around searching for anyone that followed Jesus, and if he found anyone, he'd throw them in jail.
Wowza, that's pretty rough. Looks like we're not hanging out anytime soon, Saul. No burgers for you, amigo.
But one day, something amazing happened. Jesus himself appeared to Saul.
Whoa, like the Jesus?
Yeah, man. Saul was traveling down the road when all of a sudden, a blinding light filled the sky and knocked Saul to the ground. Jesus called out to Saul and said, "Saul, why are you hurting the people that follow me?"
Oh man, I bet Saul was totally wigging out. Time to pay the bill, homie. Zabam! You just got straight up judged, son.
No. That's not what happened at all. Saul was so affected by Jesus showing up and talking to him that he did a total 180. He got born again and he started following Jesus.
Hey, that's awesome.
And since he was a totally different person now, the first thing he did was change his name. He used to be Saul, but his new name was Paul.
Ah, so that's why there's 2 names in the story. Gotcha. Okay, that's really cool and all, but is that the whole story? I mean, it just seems kind of short.
No way. Paul's story is just getting started. After he got saved, he had a new mission. He would travel around preaching the good news about Jesus, healing people, starting churches, and getting people saved.
Yeah, way to go, Paul!
And after a while, he set a goal. There was one person in particular that Paul really wanted to share Jesus with. Someone that could make a huge impact if they were born again.
Batman.
What?
Yeah, dude, we gotta get that guy saved. Think how awesome that would be. Hey, it's time to take up the offering. Boom, $1 billion. Hey, I need to ride to church. Boom, Batmobile.
Okay, no, it wasn't Batman. Paul's goal was to share the good news with Caesar, the leader of Rome and the most powerful man in the whole world.
Whoa, that's cool.
But as he traveled around, he kind of ran into some problems.
You mean like he got stuck in traffic a bunch? Yeah, that construction will get you. It's brutal.
Not really. One day, Paul was preaching in a city when all of a sudden, an angry mob grabbed him, dragged him out of the city, and threw him in the dirt.
Whoa, why did they do that?
Well, even though Paul had totally changed, some other people still didn't want Jesus to be talked about. But that didn't stop Paul. He dusted himself off and he headed to the next city.
What happened there?
He started preaching, but again, some people wanted to shut him up. This time they grabbed him, beat him up, and threw him out of the city.
Again? Man, what did he do after that?
He picked himself up and he kept on going. He traveled all around the countryside telling people about Jesus, and he didn't let anything stop him.
And eventually everything started going smooth, right?
Not so much. People kept trying to stop Paul, but they couldn't. He just wouldn't quit. These people hated him so much that one time they waited for him by the gates of a city so they could catch him and kill him.
Good grief, what happened?
Some friends of his helped him escape by lowering him down the city walls in a basket.
Whew, that was a close call.
But in the next city, he wasn't so lucky. He was captured, beaten, and thrown into prison.
Wait, so he got thrown into jail for talking about Jesus? Oh, the irony. Well, I guess that's the end of the line, Paul.
Not so fast.
What are you talking about? He's in jail, dude. Game over, man. Game over.
Even in prison, Paul still shared the good news. He sang songs and praised God in his cell. He wasn't going to let anything stop him. And then that night, while he was praising God, something amazing happened.
He was up for parole.
No. A huge earthquake shook the entire prison. His chains broke and the doors rattled off their hinges. He was free!
Oh, awesome. So what happened after that?
He picked up right where he left off, and he headed off to the next city.
You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so obviously he's been through a lot, but surely things evened out after this. No more bad stuff, right?
Wrong. He was sailing across the sea when one day, a huge storm picked up. For days, the wind and waves pounded the boat until it crashed into a reef and started to sink. Paul jumped into the water and swam for the shore.
Whew, another close call. Just glad he made it to shore, glad he's finally safe.
Then he got bit by a snake.
What? Come on, man, are you serious?
While he was building a fire, a deadly viper latched onto his hand and it wouldn't let go.
Oh boy, well, it's been a good run, but looks like it's the end for Paul.
I don't think so. Paul just shook the snake into the fire and he wasn't hurt at all.
Unbelievable. Okay, I gotta know, how did he keep going when everything in the world was constantly against him?
Well, Paul knew that the power of God in him was way stronger than any of the bad stuff that came his way. With God on his side, he was unstoppable.
Man, Paul is like a real-life superhero. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Super Paul!
You got that straight. And eventually, Paul accomplished his mission. He made it to Rome and was able to share Jesus with Caesar, the most powerful man in the world.
Mission accomplished. Man, Paul sounds like the coolest guy. Looks like we're back on for burgers in a movie, right, Paul? Big Paul, Paulé, the Paulster, Paularino.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just trying out some nicknames for when Paul and I are best friends.
You know that Paul lived like 2,000 years ago, right?
Yes, of course I know that. I'm just gonna use my time machine.
Okay, for the last time, you cannot use your time machine.
Oh yeah? Try and stop me.
All right, that's the story of Paul. The end.
Oh man, really got me good there.
It's time for a Bible story. A long time ago in the land of Israel, there lived 3 young guys named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Whoa, hold on, wait a minute. What are those names? Did you say their names were Sad Rat, Mean Hat, and a Bendy Goat?
No, not even close. Their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they were some pretty solid dudes. They loved God with all their heart, and things were going pretty well for them. Until one day, all of that changed.
Wait, let me guess what happened. They were taken from their homeland by an invading army.
Well, actually, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Do you know the story already?
Whoa, really? Crazy. That was just a random guess. What are the odds of that, huh?
Well, you're right. Israel was invaded by the wicked King Nebuchadnezzar.
Whoa, that stinks. And double whoa, because the names in this story are crazy.
I know, right? King Nebuchadnezzar invaded their country and took a bunch of people captive, and then brought them back to his home country called Babylon.
Hold up. Okay. I know the names in this story are a little wonky, but you gotta be kidding me. He was from a place called Babyland? That sounds awesome. An entire country full of adorable babies? Actually, that doesn't sound awesome. I bet it smelled like a giant diaper. Ugh.
No, not Babyland. It was called Babylon, and I'm sure it smelled just fine.
Gotcha. So what happened when they got to Babylon?
Well, they were trying to adjust to where they live now. I mean, one day they're chilling at home in Israel, and the next day they're in a totally different country. They didn't know anybody there, they don't speak the language, and on top of all that, they were forced to work as slaves.
Yikes, that is pretty rough, man. I bet they were like so super scared. I mean, they're in a completely different country, they don't know anybody, they're completely on their own. Man, I would be totally freaked out.
Actually, they didn't freak out. They knew God was with them, so they kept on like they had before. Every day they would pray and worship God.
Hey, that's great to hear. Sounds like things could turn around, huh?
Well, things did change, but not really in the way that you might expect. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar decided to have a huge statue of himself built. He wanted it to be 90 feet tall and made out of gold.
Seriously, a 90-foot golden statue of himself? Man, what a waste of a statue. I'd rather have a 90-foot gold statue of something awesome, like a really fat hamster. Oh, or like a unicorn playing guitar.
I agree. Those would be pretty sweet. But no, he wanted it to be of himself. And once the statue was built, he ordered people from all around to come and see it. He had musicians set up all around the statue and gave the order that when they started to play, everyone would bow down and worship him.
Okay, that's a little weird. So what does this have to do with our 3 amigos exactly?
Well, that's where things get interesting. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were some of the people that were ordered to come and see the statue. But, as you can imagine, they weren't very interested in worshiping King Nebuchadnezzar. They only worshiped God.
So, what happened?
Just like the king ordered, the band kicked in and everybody bowed down to the statue except for 3 people. You want to guess who?
Larry, Curly, and Moe.
Swing and a miss. It was actually Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And as you can imagine, the king was not very happy with them disobeying his orders. But he liked Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, so he gave them a second chance to change their minds and worship him. The band kicked in again, everybody else bowed down, but
Let me guess, they didn't bow.
no siree, Bob.
Yeesh, I bet he really did not like that.
No, he did not. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious that they had refused to worship him, but they held firm and told the king that they would only worship the one true God.
Oh boy, I bet they got punished pretty bad, huh? What'd they get, like 1,000,000 spankings?
No, much worse than that. The king's guards grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and took them to a huge fiery furnace, a giant oven with flames blazing out all over it.
Good grief, that thing is no joke. It's gotta be like 1,000,000 degrees, or like a bazillion Celsius, or like 5 Kelvin.
Well, look at you, Mr. Science. And yes, it was very hot. The king decided to give them one more chance to bow down to him. And if they didn't, he was going to throw them into the fiery furnace.
Whoa, he was seriously gonna like kill him?
Straight up.
So what'd they do? I mean, did they just give in and bow down? I mean, listen, that would be totally understandable. I mean, look at that oven thing, man. They'd get roasted like marshmallows in there. That would be terrifying.
That's true. It was a pretty scary situation, but they trusted in God and they weren't afraid. They knew that God was more powerful than King Nebuchadnezzar, and if God was on their side, they didn't have to be afraid. So when the king said one last time to bow down, they refused.
Uh-oh, so did he throw him in the furnace?
Nope. Instead, the king ordered the furnace to be made 7 times hotter than it already was, and then throw them in.
What? How do you even do that? That's gotta be like as hot as the sun, or like an atomic bomb, or my new mixtape.
No. But it got so hot that when the guards opened the door, the heat was so strong that they were instantly killed.
Oh, look, the guards are dead. Now's your chance. Run for it, guys.
Well, there were other guards. Kind of an expendable resource back then.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
So another set of guards grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, dragged them over to the furnace, and threw them inside. King Nebuchadnezzar and everybody else watched as they closed the door and waited. But what happened next? Nobody ever expected. There in the furnace, in those blazing hot flames, stood 4 men.
Wait, what? They didn't die? Like an instant, terrible death of burning and dying?
Nope. The guards and King Nebuchadnezzar could not believe their eyes. There were 4 figures standing in the flames, totally fine.
Hold up, wait a second. There were 4 people? I thought you said they threw in 3 people. You know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's only 3.
True, but there was a 4th person in the furnace with them. It was Jesus.
What?
Yep, Jesus was with them in the fiery furnace and protected them from the flames. King Nebuchadnezzar told them to come out, and they walked out completely unharmed. Their clothes didn't even smell like smoke.
That is incredible. So that's why they weren't afraid of the king, huh? They trusted in God so much and knew that he would be with them when the times got tough.
Exactly. That day, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego showed King Nebuchadnezzar and everyone in Babylon that God was with them, and no matter what came their way, they didn't have to fear.
That is totally stinking awesome.
You bet. The end.
It's time for a Bible story. A long time ago, there was a woman named Esther who lived in the land of Persia.
Oh, that's where all those fancy rugs come from, right?
Yeah.
Those are nice. Little pricey, though.
God had an amazing plan for Esther's life. She would be remembered forever as a hero.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Super Esther. What does she do? Save the planet from a meteor?
Nope.
Did she rescue 1,000,000 kittens from a tree?
No.
Did she carry a bomb out of Gotham City on the Batwing so everyone wouldn't blow up, but you're not sure for like 5 minutes if she made it or not?
No, that's Batman. Come on.
Right. Still gets me every time.
Esther did something even more amazing than all of those things, and it sure took a lot of guts to do it.
All right, lay it on me. What's the sitch?
Well, first of all, Esther and her family were Jewish, which was kind of a big deal back then in Persia.
What do you mean?
Well, at the time, the Jewish people weren't really liked by the Persians. In fact, they had to live in exile, and they weren't treated very well at all.
Yikes, that's no good.
Esther was also an orphan, and she lived with her cousin Mordecai, who protected and raised her after her parents died.
Sweet beard, bro.
Then one day, something happened that would change Esther's life big time. The king of Persia wanted to find a new wife, so he put on a huge beauty pageant where the winner would become the queen.
Wait, really? That's a pretty weird way to get hitched. Like, congratulations, you're the new Miss America, and we're married.
Well, as weird as it may sound, that's what the king wanted to do, so that's what happened. Women from all over the kingdom were there, but there was only one that the king favored.
Paula Deen.
What?
Yeah, think about it. He would eat like a king. Well, I mean, I guess he's already a king, but think about how awesome every meal would be. Breakfast, bacon. Lunch, biscuits and gravy. Dinner, butter bacon biscuits with a side of butter.
Come on, Paula Deen wasn't around then. This happened like thousands of years ago. Esther was very beautiful, and God gave her favor in the king's eyes, so just like that, she won the pageant.
Wait, so Esther became the queen of Persia?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool and all, but didn't you say that Esther was Jewish and that, like, the Persians didn't like Jewish people?
That's true, but the king didn't know that Esther was Jewish. She didn't want him to find out because she didn't know what would happen to her. So she kept it a secret and never brought it up.
Okay, so, like, now she's the queen. Crazy. Is that it?
No way. This is where the story really picks up. There's another guy that works for the king named Haman, and he's a pretty bad dude. He hates the Jewish people, so much so that he actually brings an idea to the king that would be terrible, to kill all of the Jewish people.
Whoa, that's really rough. Like, surely the king doesn't go through with it, right?
Actually, Haman gets the king to agree and sets the plan in motion.
Wait, but if all the Jewish people are killed, that would be horrible. They're like God's chosen people, aren't they? And that's where Jesus would eventually come from. This can't happen. Somebody's got to do something.
And that's where Esther comes in. She can't stand the thought of seeing her people get wiped out by Haman's awful plan, but she doesn't know what to do.
I know what she should do. Time to lay down the law and tell the king not to do it. She probably kicked into mama bear mode and was all like, "Listen here, buddy."
Let me stop you right there. Keep in mind that this is like ancient Persia. You couldn't just approach the king whenever you wanted to, even if you had a reason. Anytime someone would just pop off to the king, they'd usually get a pop off themselves.
Ah, gotcha. So I guess she's in a pretty tough spot, huh?
Totally. On one hand, she didn't want to see her people destroyed, but on the other hand, she can't just walk up to the king and tell him what to do.
Even the queen?
Nope, nobody could just walk up and talk to the king, period.
Man, this is tough stuff. So what'd she do?
Even though her mind was filled with doubt and worry about what would happen to her, she had to do something. Esther knew that no matter what her feelings were telling her, she was a child of God. She knew that God loved her and that he had blessed her life, and that if she stood up for God's people, that God would back her up.
Yeah, that's right. You go, Esther.
Esther trusted God and boldly went before the king. The nobles and the guards that surrounded him couldn't believe what they were seeing. Who did this woman think she was, that she could just walk up to the king on her own?
Oh man, I bet her feelings were totally freaking out.
I'm sure she was feeling a lot of things. She asked the king if she could make a request, and to everyone's surprise, the king wasn't upset. He didn't call for her to be taken away by the guards or thrown in jail, but instead, he listened.
Phew, that was intense. Okay, he's listening. Time to land the plane.
But she couldn't do it.
What? She chickened out? Bummer.
No, not exactly. She didn't want to come right out and tell the king everything, so she asked to have a banquet and planned to tell him there.
Okay, so there's still a chance to save her people. Come on, Esther, you can do it.
Later at the banquet, she went before the king with another request.
All right, here we go. Showtime.
But she was still too nervous.
Goodness gracious, you weren't kidding when you said her feelings were freaking out.
Totally. She was feeling all kinds of things, even questioning if the whole thing was a mistake. But her cousin Mordecai encouraged her and reminded her that what God says is more important than her fears and doubts, and he told her something that she would never forget. Esther, you were put here for such a time as this.
Yeah, come on, Esther, you got this.
Esther had dinner with the king again, and the moment came for her to ask her question. She took a deep breath, and she went for it. She pleaded with him not to go through with Haman's plan to kill the Jews. She finally told him that she was Jewish herself, and if Haman's plan goes through, that she would have to die too.
Man, Esther is one tough cookie. What happened next?
The king was moved by Esther's request and agreed to what she asked. He immediately got rid of Haman and canceled the plan to wipe out the Jewish people.
Yeah, you did it, Esther.
The king also gave all of Haman's wealth and property to Esther and Mordecai. Not only that, but the king signed a new decree to protect the Jewish people and keep them safe. The people of Israel were saved.
Man, Esther is like a real-life superhero. Move over, Wonder Woman. Esther can take you any day.
Esther decided to put her trust in who God said she was more than what she felt. And because of that, her entire country was saved. The end.
It's time for a Bible story. Long ago in the land of Israel, a little baby boy was born.
Aw, look at that cute little guy.
But this was a very special baby. God had big plans for him. His name was...
Wait, let me guess. Okay, it starts with an S. Swimmy, slippy, slappy, Samsonite, Swanson. That's it.
Okay, let me just tell you. The baby's name was Samson.
Ha! I was way off.
After Samson was born, an angel appeared to his mother and gave her a very important message. God was going to use Samson to do some amazing things, but there were a few rules that he would have to follow.
Oh, I got these covered. Here we go. Rule number 1, don't walk on the grass.
No.
Rule number 2, don't wear black without the blue.
No.
Rule number 3, don't drink orange juice right after you brush your teeth.
No! Okay, actually, that last one is pretty good advice. But no, those were not the rules that Samson would have to follow. First of all, he wasn't able to eat any unclean food.
Wait, what do you mean unclean food? Like he had to wash all of his food in the sink? Gross. Get ready for some soggy sandwiches, buddy.
No, unclean food back then meant things like pork.
Whoa, wait a minute. Pork? Isn't that where bacon comes from?
Yeah.
He couldn't eat bacon? What did he eat for breakfast or lunch or dinner? If I couldn't eat bacon, I would starve.
Wait, why do you eat bacon for every meal?
Because America.
Okay, well, it really wasn't that big of a deal. He just had to keep a certain diet.
More like die it, as in he died from being hungry and sad.
Okay, cut it out. That wasn't the only rule, and the next one's even more interesting. Samson was never allowed to cut his hair. As Samson grew up, his hair grew longer and longer and longer, but he obeyed the rule and never, ever cut it.
Really? Not even a trim, like just the loose ends?
Nope.
Well, at least he could style it however he wanted, right?
I guess so.
Oh man, I bet his hairdresser had some fun with that. You could give him one of these. Or the ultimate mohawk.
Well,
The hammerhead. The name tag. The Leia. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm sure he just kept it straight and let it grow out like a normal person.
Yeah, that's a good look. Nice do, Fabio. So, hold on a second. Why exactly does he have to follow these rules?
Right. God gave Samson a very special gift, super strength.
Nice.
At that time, the people of Israel were being ruled by some really wicked dudes called the Philistines. God wanted to use Samson as a mighty warrior that would lead his people, so God gave him incredible superhuman strength.
Like, how strong are we talking? As strong as me?
Way stronger.
I don't know. I can pick up a whole gallon of milk over my head.
All right, get this. One time Samson was walking along in the desert and out of nowhere a giant, ferocious lion attacked him.
Yikes. That's probably the end of the story, huh? Bye-bye, Samson.
Nope, Samson grabbed a hold of the lion and tore it to pieces.
Whoa, that is crazy. Give me another one.
All right, Samson was trapped in a city by some Philistine soldiers. They locked the huge metal gate and were going to ambush him. But that was no problem for Samson. He just ripped the gates off the city walls and carried them away.
Dude, now that's an exit. Bye, Felicia. Hit me again.
Okay, one more. Another time, Samson was surrounded by 1,000 Philistine soldiers. They all had swords and shields and spears, and all he had was a jawbone from a donkey he found on the ground.
Yowza. Looks like that's all she wrote. We'll miss you, big guy.
Not so fast. The Philistines charged, but Samson fought back and totally wiped them out.
What? He killed 1,000 soldiers with a donkey's jawbone?
Yep.
Man, he really does have some crazy, mega awesome super strength. He could probably do whatever he wanted. Throw a baseball around the earth, arm wrestle a bunch of bears, bench press the pyramids.
But remember, he would only have that power if he followed those rules.
Ah, that's right. No Snippy, no Piggy. So what happens next? Does he save the day and rescue the people of Israel?
Not exactly. For years, Samson followed the instructions that God gave him and was a great, strong leader. But after a while, he got a little careless with who he was spending his time with. He met a woman named Delilah. but he shouldn't have been hanging out with her.
Why not? Was she smelly? Close talker?
No, Delilah was actually a Philistine.
Eesh, aren't they like the enemy of the people of Israel? What gives, Sammy?
Samson spent a lot of time with Delilah and eventually fell in love with her.
What are you doing, Samson? Come on, man.
Samson was getting closer to Delilah and turning further away from God. He even started breaking some of the rules God had given him. But the last one he still kept was his hair.
Okay, good. Still have the super strength.
Yeah, for now. The Philistines came up with the plan to capture Samson, but first they'd have to find out his secret. They made a deal with Delilah to find out what made Samson so strong, and she agreed to help them.
What? I knew she was no good. That girl is poison.
No kidding. Night after night, Delilah begged Samson to tell her the secret to his super strength. And he held out for a while, but eventually she wore him down and he told her his secret, that if his hair was cut, his strength would disappear.
No, Samson, how could you?
Late that night when he was sleeping, Delilah quietly cut off all Samson's hair. Philistine soldiers rushed in the room and Samson sprang to his feet, expecting to fight them off like he had many times before. But this time was different.
Oh, something's different, all right. Run for it, Goldberg!
He tried to run and fight, but his strength was gone. The Philistine soldiers laughed as they tied him up, carried him away, and kept him as a prisoner for the rest of his life.
Man, that totally stinks. He had so much going for him. What happened?
I'll tell you what happened. Samson didn't pick his friends very well. If he had surrounded himself with the right kind of friends, they could have helped him see that he was getting into trouble. Picking the right kind of friends will help you grow. But just like Samson, the wrong kind can destroy you.
Got it. Oh, I gotta go. It's about that time.
What time?
It's bacon 30. Gotta go heat up the stove. I'm coming, piggies!
The end.
It's time for a Bible story. A long time ago, in a town called Jericho, there lived a man named Zacchaeus.
Whoa, what's going on with that name there? Zacchaeus? How is anyone supposed to pronounce that?
Like this. Zacchaeus.
Zacchachusa.
No.
Zazacchino.
What? No, it's like Zach. Just say it after me. Zacchaeus.
Zachareka ding dong.
All right, now you're just trying to make it weird.
Yeah, I know. So who's this Zach Cheeto guy? What's his deal?
Zacchaeus was kind of an interesting guy. First of all, he was famous. Everybody in Jericho knew who he was.
Nice. Rolling like a big shot.
And he was totally rich. I'm talking fancy schmancy clothes, waterfall pool, blinged out toilet seat. He was loaded.
Cha-ching, my man, Zach Ebers, living the life.
Also, he was super short.
Wait, really? That's part of the story?
Actually, yeah. What's the problem?
Just seems like you're getting a little personal there. I don't know, maybe jealous about the whole super rich fancy toilet thing?
No, it's really part of the story.
All right, just saying. So what, is this guy like everyone's favorite person?
No. Actually, everyone hated him.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, like everybody. I'm talking men, women, puppies, clowns, little baby squirrels. You name it. They did not like Zacchaeus one bit.
Man, what gives? Is Jericho just like a big town full of jerks?
No, there was definitely a reason. You see, Zacchaeus was a tax collector.
Ah, that explains it. He's the tax man. Classic case of the old income removal service, huh?
Pretty much. Zacchaeus would go around and collect tax money from all the people in Jericho.
But wait, hold on. That's not that bad, right? He's just doing his job. Why does everybody hate him so much?
Well, he wasn't just doing his job. He was a thief, a liar, a low-down, dirty, good-for-nothing crook. He used his job to steal from people. That's how he got so rich. Zacchaeus had a terrible reputation, and for good reason. He was not a good dude.
Ah, now it makes sense. So what happens next? Does everybody beat him up and take back all their money?
Nope. Here's what happened. One day, Jesus was traveling around the countryside, teaching and healing people like he would often do, and he happened to pass through Jericho. News spread fast that Jesus was there, and soon a huge crowd gathered to hear him speak.
Jesus was kind of a big deal whenever he went places, huh?
Oh yeah, tons of people came from all around to listen to Jesus, including Zacchaeus. He wanted to see Jesus and hear what he had to say, but there was a problem. The crowd was too big, and Zacchaeus, was just a little fella.
Hashtag short man problems. The struggle is real. So what'd he do?
Well, he wanted to see Jesus so badly that he was like, whatever, I don't care, and climbed way up in a tree to see over the crowd.
Man, he really wanted to see Jesus.
No joke. Here's a grown man, all fancy and rich and whatnot, climbing up a tree. He didn't care if people thought he was weird. He just wanted to see Jesus.
I mean, probably wasn't that big of a deal. Like, from a distance, people probably just thought it was a kid, because the whole short thing.
Well, somebody noticed, and not just anybody. Jesus himself sees this guy climbing a tree to see him, and he stopped talking to the crowd. Everyone went silent as Jesus looked right at Zacchaeus, and the crowd waited on pins and needles to see what Jesus would say.
Oh man, this is it. Jesus is about to lay the smack down on Zacchaeus for being a low-down, dirty thief. He's gonna be all like, I know what you've been up to, you little nasty. You've been stealing and scheming, and it's time for you to pay. You didn't think you'd ever get caught, huh? Well, guess what? I'm Jesus, and I know everything. So pay up, punk. Ba-boom! Mic drop. And the crowd goes wild.
No, that's not what happened at all. Jesus stood there, looked Zacchaeus right in the eye and said, Zacchaeus, come down from that tree. Let's go to your house and have dinner. Today, I will be your guest.
Whoa, forget mic drop, more like jaw drop. He really said that?
Yep.
Even though he knew Zacchaeus was like a total scumbag? Like, why?
Jesus knew that Zacchaeus had done some really bad things and had a lot of sin in his life, but Jesus also knew that Zacchaeus couldn't do anything bad enough to stop him from loving him. He wanted to spend time with Zacchaeus so that he could save him from the sin in his life.
Whoa, so what happened next?
Well, just like he said, Jesus went to Zacchaeus' house and had dinner with him, which was a huge deal. Before this, nobody hung out with Zacchaeus, and here's Jesus going to his house for dinner as his guest.
It's like I've always said, there ain't much that a good burger can't fix.
You never said that.
Well, it's still true.
After Zacchaeus spent time with Jesus, his heart was totally changed. He apologized to everyone for what he had done and gave half of his belongings to the poor. Then he paid back all the people he'd stolen from 4 times what he owed them.
Wow, he's like a totally different dude. I mean, still vertically challenged and everything, but on the inside, whoa, he's awesome. His life changed that much just from like spending time with Jesus?
Totally. That's the cool thing about this story. It shows us this. Jesus already knows everything about you, all the good, all the bad, everything you've ever done or ever will do. But that doesn't stop him from wanting to be close to us. And just like Zacchaeus, the more you get to know Jesus, the more he will change your heart.
Dude, that is so cool. The next time I climb a tree, I'm going to think about this story where Jesus changed old Zacchaeus' heart.
Well, it's Zacchaeus, but yeah, that's a cool idea.
Actually, scratch that. Next time I eat a Cheeto, I'm gonna think about it because, let's be honest, I'm gonna eat a Cheeto way before I'm gonna climb a tree. Hashtag snacks for life.
Yeah, sounds about right. The end.